Hey YouTuber, what's up? Today we are going to do a review on the GSI Creos PS 270. It is a 0.2 nozzle needle combination, also known as the Procon Boy, and this came from Spray Gunner. Thanks a lot, Spray Gunner. I'm not affiliated with Spray Gunner. They did not give this to me. As a matter of fact, I bought this under my wife's name, so they don't even know who was getting this airbrush. I just like to keep it clean that way. Hey, but if Spray Gunner wants to help me out, wants me to review more stuff, you guys holler at me for Spray Gunner if you're listening out there. Anyway, Spray Gunner is where I got this. You guys can hit them up. They ship worldwide on airbrushes. So anyway, so today I'm going to do a little review, and then I'm going to paint this little Betsy Ross American flag. Obviously, there's some controversy going on in the United States about that. Do I find the irony that I am taking on the 4th of July and I'm reviewing a Japanese airbrush? Absolutely. But hey, America, right? Anyway, I always found there was a lot of irony, in blowing off a couple $1 billion worth of Chinese-made fireworks on the 4th of July. But anyway, so if you're American, today's the 4th. Happy 4th. If you're a Brit, sorry about your luck, guys. Anyway, we're going to get right into the review. Let's go. So there's a few things about these that are a little unique, and they are definitely a little bit unique. But after you pull it out of the box, one of the things, there's no rough edges, no burrs, anything like that. One of my biggest questions that I had was going to be whether I could hold. If you guys have watched me, you know I put this part of my thumb on the air trigger. This is a little bit tight. I can get my finger in there the way I want, but it does hit, and I can compare that to my HPCS, Awada HPCS. This is the way I hold my HPCS. As you notice, I have just enough clearance. That way when I work on my trigger, this is the way I work my trigger. A lot of people do that. Some people go even further, in which case you're going to need a side feed. I don't think there's a cup in the world that you would work. But that's the way I hold mine. It leaves me just enough room with the Awada, which is what I use most of the time. But it cramps my finger just a little bit, so that is something you be aware of. In my case, I expected that to happen. I can get it in there. I expected that to happen, but my intent is, if I love this airbrush, I'm going to actually cut that cup down, take it on a bandsaw, and I will cut that up. But anyway, we're going to go into the parts. Of course, this is the handle that comes with it, and the needle limiter does work. I never use one. I never will use one. It will be changed out. Ironically, I'll show you guys the handle off of my HPCS will thread right in there. So what I'll probably do is pick up a handle, cutaway handle, and use a cutaway handle, because I've never used the limiter. Just like having that cutaway. And it also helps to balance a little bit, in my opinion. So anyways, you take them apart. These are unique in that, well, first off, there's the nozzle cap, or the needle guard, and I'll take that, and most likely I'll throw it away, because hey, you guys are aware, most of us just wind up losing those anyway. The head assembly on this is a modified micron head assembly. The machining is so precise on this, actually, that you would almost think that that was a welded head assembly. It's not. So I'm going to pull that head off and show you how's the head breakdown on this. It's very similar to the head breakdown on a micron. Pull that needle out of the way. So you look in there. If you've ever used a micron head assembly, that'll look the same, although this is not exactly a micron head assembly. Goes down into a 3-hole assembly. And myself, I will never, unless I have a problem that needs to be addressed, that's the way I will disassemble and clean these. I will never pull that. I always treat these as one piece. I never take that nozzle out unless I have to replace it for some odd reason. Replacement parts are available. Notably, the precision on these threads. There's no rough grading. It's extraordinarily high spec tolerance, and it seems to come with some type of heat-proof grease on this. I was shocked to not see any chrome plating on the inside, although that doesn't affect anything. So, and it does split down into a 3-hole assembly, which should provide good atomization. The interesting thing is, what makes these interesting is this is built exactly like the Iwata Eclipses. As a matter of fact, and I've had this apart, even the amount of knurling in here, everything in that is exact. If it's not the same part, I would be highly shocked if it's not the same part that came off my Iwata HPCS. There's no rough. It is a little bit smoother operating the one that came on my HPCS, and your needle assembly or your trigger assembly pulls off just like that. Goes in, it actually flows in pretty easier. The trigger pull on it is very smooth. There's no rough, pullback. The air valve is a little bit looser, easier to pull than most. I would point out this, and because I know some people have been tricked up by this, the notch goes to the back of the airbrush. If you look at this carefully, this trigger assembly carefully, you see how it ramps up on the front side and the back side is more smooth. There is just a little bit of roughness right there, but nothing that I'm not used to seeing on just about all of them. So it's nothing that concerned me in practice. It's been very, very smooth. So the breakdown on that, I'm not going to pull the air valve out right now. The cup of bowl assembly, unlike the micron, it's similar in the way it threads in there, but the way that the bowl runs down is a little bit different. As you can see, I've already put some paint through this. So notably, and we'll get into that as we test it, the MAC valve does work all the way from shutoff, very slow gradation, very controllable in being able to control how much air you get out of here. We'll get more into that as we get into a hands feel. So that's the breakdown on those. Like I said, nothing, just very high quality machining on these parts. We'll see how this holds up long term, and we will look back at this in several days. I will say that the needle cap, the threading on the needle cap is definitely not the same, as you get a little bit of play and wiggle right there, unlike you would have on the other assembly. But all of them, the working positions are perfect. We get into the needle, and this one, obviously, you see I've got some paint on this, but when I got the needle, I'll probably I don't polish my needles usually. Some of you guys probably know, but that needle, it's gonna get a polish from me before I use it. And it's not bad. The machining on that's not bad, but it is not the best I've ever seen. I would expect if this was an expensive airbrush, the machining on that would be a little bit better. It's pretty smooth, probably on par with what I'm used to seeing with the Badger airbrushes, but definitely not custom micron level machining on the tip of this needle. But then again, this is a $103 airbrush versus a high-end airbrush. How soft these are over time, we're going to have to find out. How hard the nozzles are stainless steel, so I expect those to hold up great. I will put a polish on that, probably not today. I have run paint through this before, so that's the breakdown of how these go together. The interesting how they, the taper on that, which I thought might throw the balance off and feel a little bit weird in my hand, it really wasn't an issue. It's very natural feeling, and actually even easier to put the trigger in, and the trigger pull is pretty light on that right up out of the factory. So the trigger pull's light. This is exactly the same as what you would find in an Eclipse. Of course, there's a lot of copies and knockoffs that use that same assembly, barrel assembly in the back. The threading here isn't as precise as what's up front, but that's pretty common across the board. It's on that same par quality as what I'm used to, in my water airbrushes. All right, so I practiced a few little doodles with it. It felt really natural. Tested out the ability of the Mac valve to really get in there and hone. The adjustment on that Mac valve is excellent, better than ones I use personally. Then I'm going to throw myself into a little tutorial here. It should be noted, this is not the way I would normally do this. I really wanted to test the ability to do some freehand work. So the way I did the stars is a little bit different. But anyway, I came in with very dark blue mix. Base that in. As you notice, I've got my stars marked out, and I kind of laid off them a little bit. Came in there with my scarlet, threw a little bit of scarlet down across my lines, just threw that in pretty quick, and now I'm going to come in here with white, reduced white, and I'm going to fill in all my stars. Once I got all my stars all filled in, I'm going to come back here and deepen in, mess back with a little bit more of that blue, get some of that lighter blue in there. So I'll have to come back and do them stars again. That's all right, because I really wanted to put this through its paces, and honestly, the whole painting took me 20-25 minutes. It's on a piece of paper that came out of a package from something, I'm not even sure. So now I took a little bit of sepia. I'm gonna go ahead and tone in with a little bit of sepia right there, and I'm gonna start to work my dark spots with my sepia. Important to note, the one thing about it is the nose sticks out a little bit further than what I'm used to, the airbrushes I'm used to, and that at first I really thought was going to bother me, but I'm really, in a short period of time getting the hang of it. It's definitely a longer airbrush than what I'm used to. If that's important to you, that might be an issue. And really, it's not been an issue with my finger as much as I thought it was going to be in practice once I got in there and started getting a little comfortable with it. But I will say that I was able to get very, very clean lines when I wanted to. Depending if I wanted to take my time, I could really get some super fine details in there. I've done some other testing with it, and I'm able to, pull hair lashes, or eyelashes rather, without any issue whatsoever. So I'm going to go ahead and run just a bead in between all of my stripes. As you guys can see here, throwing in my darks, but at each stripe and appearance, I'm going to put a little bit of a darkness in there, which kind of makes it look like the stripes are folded together. And, as you can see, I'm going through there. It's not any problem whatsoever. I mean, this is, it's going quick, easy. No surprises, no glitches or anything like that in the trigger assembly. So yeah, I want to finish up that with the sepia, and then I'm going to come back in and I want to freehand in those stars with white. Once I get that done, I'm going to add a little bit of sepia around those stars. You can see I'm throwing a little bit of stitching and stuff in there. Not getting too detailed, but you know, it's pretty small stuff. So, and that's real time. So yeah, my overall view is very favorable, and I want to see how if this is going to earn a spot in the bench, and I really think it is going to earn a spot on my bench and become one of my regular used brushes. Threw that white in there, no issues whatsoever. As a matter of fact, I was able to do that unreduced with a 0.2 nozzle, so that's pretty stellar. And yeah, once I get done with those, throw a little bit of sepia in there just to tone those up, and that's going to be the end of that painting. And I'll give you the rest of my thoughts. All right, guys, that's about it for today. That is the airbrush. Yeah, it's a pretty sweet piece of machinery here. So, yeah, pretty happy, getting happier with it. I've had it in my hands for a couple of days. So, anyway, we appreciate y'all stopping by our channel. If you like what you're seeing, hey, hit that subscribe button and notification down below. You know, we can always use more people. Hey, also, you guys been with me for a little while. Hey, hit that share button for me. Help get the word out. Sharing helps the analytics on YouTube so that my channel will grow, and we're all going to benefit from that. Anyway, y'all have a great day. We'll talk to you next time.